the Lions defeated the Packers, and
Didn't think we'd be saying that before the weekend.
Aaron Rodgers, I never thought that I'd see the day where he played like this. And to be fair to him, and I will be, I've been saying this and defending him throughout his career because of the lack of weapons that the Packers have provided him, because of their complete uh, fake interest in receivers in free agency and via trade. They pretend, oh, we were in on Darren Waller. Oh, we were in on Chase Claypool. And they say that after the fact. But, like, how many times can you cry wolf and actually not pull the trigger and give one extra asset or a player or a late round pick to put you over the top? It's just BS. They don't actually want to be in the market for that because their philosophy of draft and develop is incredibly conservative. And I think that Rodgers would have more rings, at least one more, if that was not their philosophy. But at this point, though, even though the receiving room is one of the three worst in the NFL, even though they're not just lacking in top talent, they're lacking in depth, Aaron Rodgers is still not playing well. He is not going through his reads in the same way. He's dumping things off. He's throwing interceptions and forcing things into coverage when he is throwing downfield. I mean, he threw 3 interceptions, and they were back-breaking interceptions.
Two in the red zone, two in the red zone, and also, like you were saying in terms of his mistakes, he's double clutching, or he's stilting his progression in a way that's like very un-Rodgers like. He's
part of it's he doesn't trust his receivers,
yes.
So we'll give him that. But
in the sense of
now he's honestly, I think he's playing politics a little bit with making sure his completion percentage and stuff is up, which I never thought I'd see from him. That's the thing that used to bug me about.
Because again, like as we've said about the perception of him before, he was the gunslinger. Like he was not. He was never this guy to be like, oh, like just so I can remain accurate, just so I won't, I will run the risk less of guys dropping passes or getting picked. I'm just going to throw dink and dunks to Aaron Jones or to
Frankly,
Alan Lazard.
Eli was like that. I was like, who am I thinking about? Eli Manning was like this at the later part of his career with the Giants, where
absolutely
like. That's what was so frustrating.
The risk aversion.
Oh yeah, look at the stat line. I mean, I'm the box score fan, and I'm going to say his stat line looks pretty good. No, he's not playing well. And Rodgers, I feel like, is doing that a little bit, although he is still forcing things into coverage. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, top 2 pick in the draft, was able to get an interception off of him in the end zone, which was an amazing play by him and a terrible throw by Rodgers.
Yeah, that was nuts because it looked like Hutchinson was going to go in for the blitz, but then at the last second dropped back and caught it. Yeah, that was an awesome pick.
That was a heads up play by him. He kind of, I think, was reading Rodgers' eyes, if I remember correctly.
And that's a rookie edge rusher doing that to Aaron Rodgers. Like that doesn't happen. So, and also we cannot forget what we were talking about literally last week during OT. This team fired their defensive backs coach last week.
The Lions defense is one of the worst defenses in the league. And if you were to map the amount of points they've given up over the course of this season, they would be the worst defense potentially of all time in the NFL. And the Packers could not beat this team. That is a real wake-up call to the entire organization. And they're just not making the playoffs. I mean, this is just what's insane to me. The Giants win in a head-to-head with them.
Yep.
Because
they beat them.
And the Giants are 6-2, and the Packers are 3-5? Or 3-6.
The Seahawks 6 wins.
Yeah, right.
Not going to be able to catch them.
The Cowboys,
I don't think.
Yeah, the Packers are 3-6, and they still have to play the Cowboys, and I think the Cowboys are going to beat them, and then they'll also have that tiebreaker.
And the Cowboys are also doing what
they play the Cowboys next week.
The Cowboys are sort of doing what we thought the Packers might do, which is continue to course correct and improve as the season went on, as they got healthier. This is not happening for the Packers.
Oh no, and Romeo Doubs was barely playing any of the snaps. Alan Lazard was the top receiver. He should not be your top receiver.
No, he shouldn't be the top receiver for any team, frankly. Not to say he's a bad player. It just that's a lot to put on a guy who's kind of limited in terms of his skill set.
So I feel like Aaron Rodgers retires at the end of the season, it's going to be a very unceremonious end to a career that at the end was marred by controversy related to the vaccine and also his leadership style. It makes me sad, frankly, because outside, he's my favorite quarterback that I've ever seen play. I love Lamar Jackson right now, but like for me, just the level of dominance that Aaron Rodgers had with the little that he had to work with, just look it up. I mean, for people that want to like rewrite history about this, we've never seen anything like it. Never seen a quarterback that accurate with that strong of an arm, that much of a playmaking ability, that touchdown pass to interception ratio. It doesn't happen, and it's a shame to see it go out like this.
I'm just also a little annoyed by like we've been talking about this with a little bit of this trend of some of these vet quarterbacks. Like, I mean, some mostly being between Rodgers and Brady, who are frustrated that they're not playing well and taking it out on their team and out on their receivers. Like, yes, I understand him not trusting his receivers. I understand that the line is a little banged up, and David Bakhtiari is very clearly
That's when the Hutchinson
healthy.
Interception was.
Right.
Was he not trying to throw it to Bakhtiari
Yes.
on some play? But Bakhtiari's not even playing all the snaps on the line. So why are you putting him in as a decoy? It's just stupid play calling.
Yeah,
too.
that was absolutely bizarre because Zach Tom was coming in relief of Bakhtiari at some point, and then Bakhtiari came back in to be an eligible receiver and
So
catch a bubble to get
dumb.
into the end zone. I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But for example, the Athletic Football Show covered this specific play. Tanyan was in the end zone, and he got separation and was in and Rodgers double clutched, like kind of screwed up his feet a little bit, and then yelled at Tanyan after the play saying that he didn't get enough separation. It's like Tanyan was not the problem there. You were the problem.
That's
there.
amazing to me because, Aaron Rodgers' footwork was also
His calling card,
greatest of all time.
and
it's
almost
why he's
impeccable.
able to just, make every throw part of, and then just the
He
greatest arm of all time.
Right. It just the level of tentativeness with him is so unlike him.
Mm-hmm.
And also he's beyond. It would be one thing, I think, if it was clear that it's like he is making the throws. He's going through the routes the right way. He's making the reads. He's getting these balls in the right windows, and none of his receivers are connecting, or none of his receivers are like simpatico with him. But that's not the case. There are technical lapses that are clear when you're watching him play.
Yeah.
And frankly, this is the first season. He was the MVP of the league last year.
That's what's insane. I mean, the Brady decline, I feel like, he's declining less rapidly, but it's been more gradual. I mean, there's been a significant drop off this year, but it's like he still has moments like he had in that final drive where, okay, he won that game for them. But with Rodgers, it's like it just gets worse every week somehow.
Yep.
And he's supposed to be Mr. Enlightened. Like, I took ayahuasca, now I see everything as it should be, and he's
See your
not
receivers, my guy.
seeing. He's not seeing shit.
Word to the wise: you want to keep playing football at age 39? Don't date a witch.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that he's dating a witch.
I think if we were to run the analytics, Rodgers, the stats,
On witch girlfriends.
PWG, pre-witch girlfriend numbers and post-witch girlfriend numbers. I think we'd get a pretty accurate story of what we're seeing on the field right now.
Yeah, and we were gonna play this clip, but I don't even think it's that worth it. Like the Lions, just every time they get a win, and they're few and far between. It's like Dan Campbell's gonna cry.
The fourth win of the last like 3 seasons for them. Everyone's just like, Ben.
I hope they stay in this thing and but still get a top 5 pick and just take a quarterback, like a really, really good quarterback.
No, and I think honestly, I'm of two minds of it in the sense that we've talked about how like it's hard to only attribute or only give credit for culture when culture and wins don't correspond with one another, in the sense that they have to sort of correspond with one another to kind of matter in a way.
I mean, just because Dan Campbell is fiery doesn't mean that he's just like a more likable Joe Judge.
Yes, exactly. Potentially like a more likable, like someone I don't remember who said this. I think it was on one of the broadcasts, but that him and Matt Patricia at this point in their time as Lions coaches have a similar winning percentage. Like it's not like he's really like done a lot of revitalizing in terms of their actual win-loss record. However, my thinking is, like you said, if they are capable to get a low draft pick, better quarterback instead of Goff, you have the infrastructure that they have on offense. You have a healthy St. Brown, DJ Chark, Jameson Williams, who still hasn't played a snap for this team, coming off of injury at some point. And then a defense that very clearly is young, unheralded, and cheap.
Mm-hmm.
They've barely spent anything on this defense outside of extending Romeo Okwara and Tracy Walker, I believe.
And those are bad moves.
So even if it's that's almost, you almost justify that by saying they just want to have two guys who are like over 27 on the roster.
Yeah, right.
Like, and so I wouldn't be too worried about it besides the win-loss numbers, only because this is a really young, inexperienced, inexpensive team that is not even fully healthy with all of the draft capital they accrued with Jameson Williams. And if they are able to get a guy like a CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, any of these kind of exciting quarterbacks in the next draft, and they hit, who's to say what this team could be with an actual difference maker, an actual ceiling raiser at quarterback?
100%.